So you downloaded a tactic, copied every instruction perfectly, and still lost 3-0. Now you're wondering, are tactics fake? Is the game scripted? Or are YouTubers lying? No. The problem is, most people use tactics without understanding what the buttons actually do. One wrong instruction can destroy your entire shape. One button can make your midfield disappear. One setting can kill your players before the 70th minute. And today, I'm going to teach you everything. Not just what to click, but why you click it.
After this video, you'll know how to build your own tactics, fix problems mid-match, stop instruction conflicts, and finally understand why some tactics dominate while others collapse. This is not a plug-and-play tactic video. This is a tactical masterclass.
Defensive tactics. Now that we've covered the shape tactics, let's move on to what happens when you don't have the ball. A good attack might win you matches, but a good defense wins you titles. These defensive instructions decide how aggressive, how compact, and how disciplined your team will be when trying to win the ball back. Defensive line. Your defensive line controls how high or how deep your defenders position themselves when your team is defending. This one instruction can completely change the amount of space you leave behind your defense. Deep. A deep defensive line keeps your defenders close to their own penalty area. This reduces the space behind your back line, making it much harder for pacey strikers to run in behind. It's ideal if your center backs lack pace or you're protecting a lead. The downside? You're inviting pressure. The opposition has more possession, more crosses, and more shots around your penalty area.
Balanced. Balanced is exactly what it sounds like. Your defenders adjust their positioning depending on the situation, instead of committing to one extreme. This is the safest option for most tactics because it provides a healthy balance between defensive security and pressing opportunities. High. A high defensive line pushes your defenders much further up the pitch. This compresses the space between your defenders and your midfield, making it easier to press aggressively and recover possession quickly. It's perfect for possession football and high-pressing systems.
But there's a catch. Leave too much space behind your defenders, and one perfectly timed through ball can put the opposition striker clean through on goal. If you're using a high defensive line, make sure your center backs have good pace, good positioning, and excellent anticipation. Closing down. Closing down determines where your players start applying pressure to the opposition. Sit back. With sit back selected, your team stays compact and allows the opposition to come towards them before pressing. This keeps your defensive shape intact and saves player stamina. It's a great choice for counterattacking teams or when facing stronger opponents. The trade-off is simple. You'll give the opposition more time on the ball. Own half.
Own half is the balanced option. Your players begin pressing once the opposition enters your half of the pitch. You stay organized while still applying enough pressure to win the ball back. For most formations and most teams, this is the safest and most reliable choice. All over. All over means your players press everywhere on the pitch. The moment the opposition wins the ball, your team immediately tries to win it back. This can force mistakes, create dangerous turnovers, and keep your opponents pinned inside their own half. But high pressing comes at a cost. Your players cover far more ground, lose stamina much faster, and if the press is beaten, huge spaces can appear behind your midfield.
Tackling. Tackling controls how aggressively your players try to win possession. Cautious. Cautious tackling tells your players to stay on their feet and avoid diving into challenges. You'll commit fewer fouls and receive fewer yellow and red cards. This works well if your defenders already have bookings or you're protecting a narrow lead. The downside is that opponents may have a little more time on the ball. Normal. Normal is the balanced option. Players choose when to stay on their feet and when to commit to a challenge. It's the most consistent setting and works well in almost every tactical setup.
Committed. Committed tackling makes your players much more aggressive when trying to win the ball. You'll often recover possession quicker and disrupt the opposition's rhythm. However, aggressive tackling also increases the chances of fouls, yellow cards, and even red cards. If the referee's already giving out cards early, this is one instruction you may want to change during the match. Offside trap. The offside trap tells your defenders to step forward together in an attempt to catch attacking players offside instead of simply tracking their runs. No. With the offside trap turned off, defenders focus on following runners and protecting the space behind them. This is the safer option, especially if your defenders lack communication or positioning.
Time wasting. Time wasting controls whether your team tries to slow the game down to protect a result.
Defensive instruction conflicts. Before we move on, here are a few defensive instruction conflicts you should avoid. 1. High defensive line plus sit back. A high defensive line pushes your defenders up, while sit back tells your team not to press. That leaves too much space behind your defense. 2. Deep defensive line plus all-over press. Your attackers press high, but your defenders stay deep. The result? Huge gaps in midfield that opponents can exploit. 3. Committed tackling plus all-over press. This can win the ball back quickly, but it also leads to more fouls, yellow cards, and tired players. 4. Offside trap plus deep defensive line. Offside traps work best with a high defensive line. If you're defending deep, there's very little point using one. 5. Time wasting too early. Time wasting is for protecting a lead near the end of a match. Turn it on too early, and you'll invite unnecessary pressure. Transition. Now that your team knows how to defend, let's look at the attacking instructions and how to create more chances.
Attack tactics. Final third. These instructions control what your team does once they reach the attacking third. They shape how you create chances and finish attacks. Early crosses. Early crosses tells your players to deliver the ball into the box as soon as they get into crossing positions, instead of carrying it closer to the byline. Choose this if you have a tall target man, quick forwards making runs behind the defense, or traditional wingers with good crossing. It's also very effective in direct or counterattacking systems. Avoid it if your striker struggles in the air or your team prefers short passing. Look for overlap. Look for overlap tells your wide players to hold the ball and wait for the fullbacks to overlap before delivering the attack. This works best in possession-based tactics with attacking fullbacks and technically gifted wide players. It creates overloads out wide and opens up better crossing angles. Avoid it if your fullbacks aren't good going forward, as it can slow your attacks unnecessarily. Shoot on sight. Shoot on sight encourages players to take opportunities from distance instead of always looking for the perfect pass. Use this if your team has players with good long shots, technique, and composure, or when you're struggling to break down a compact defense.
Don't use it if your players aren't good shooters. You'll simply waste possession. Work ball into box. Work ball into box tells your players to stay patient and keep passing until they create a high-quality chance inside the penalty area. This suits possession football, technical teams, and formations with creative midfielders. It usually leads to better quality chances, but your attacks can become slower. If the opposition is defending very deep, don't be afraid to switch this off and encourage more shots. Run it defense. Run it defense encourages your players to dribble at opponents whenever the opportunity is there. Choose this if you have quick, skillful dribblers like wingers, attacking midfielders, or inside forwards.
It's a great way to beat defenders one-on-one and create space. Avoid it if your players lack dribbling or pace, as they'll lose possession more often. Through balls. Through balls encourages your players to look for passes behind the opposition defense instead of carrying the ball themselves. This is perfect if you have creative playmakers and fast attackers making intelligent runs. It works especially well against teams using a high defensive line. However, if the opposition is sitting very deep,
Through balls become much harder to pull off, so a patient passing approach may be more effective. Quick pro tip. There isn't a best option here. The right choice depends on your players, your formation, and the opponent you're facing. Great tactics aren't about choosing the strongest instruction, they're about choosing the instruction that fits your team.
Passing style. Passing style controls how your team moves the ball around the pitch. Choose the one that best suits your players and the football you want to play. Short. Short passing keeps the ball moving with quick, simple passes. It's perfect for possession football and technical players, but it can struggle against high-pressing teams. Mixed. Mixed passing lets your players decide when to play short or long. It's the safest and most balanced option for most teams. Direct. Direct passing moves the ball forward quickly with fewer passes. It's ideal for counterattacks, fast forwards, and exploiting space behind the defense. Long. Long passing skips the midfield and looks for attackers early. Use it with a target man or quick strikers who can win or chase long balls.
Passing focus tells your team where to build most of their attacks. Left. Choose left if your biggest attacking threat is on the left wing. Center. Center focus is best for formations with creative midfielders or attacks built through the middle. Right. Choose right if your strongest winger or fullback plays on the right. Both flanks. Both flanks uses the wings equally. It's great for teams with attacking fullbacks and dangerous wingers. Mixed. Mixed allows your players to attack wherever they find space. It's the most flexible option.
Before we move on, here are some attacking instruction conflicts you should avoid. 1. Short passing plus long distribution. Short passing tells your team to build patiently from the back, while long distribution skips the build-up completely. These two instructions work against each other. 2. Work ball into box plus shoot on sight. These instructions have opposite goals. Work ball into box tells players to stay patient and create the perfect chance, while shoot on sight encourages early shots. Since you can only choose one, always pick the one that suits your style. 3. Early crosses plus through balls. Early crosses look for chances from wide areas, while through balls attack through the middle. Decide where your main threat comes from and build around that. 4. Look for overlap plus direct passing. Overlaps need patience because fullbacks have to get forward. Direct passing moves the ball forward too quickly, meaning your overlaps often never happen. 5. Run at defense plus long passing. If you're playing long balls, your attackers receive the ball later in the move. Run at defense works better in teams that keep possession and let their dribblers face defenders one-on-one.